favorite radio station.
This is Afro Vibes, Radio Houston.
Hello everybody, this is the Source Seeker Hour. We thank you for joining us on this great occasion. This is our 18th show, ladies and gentlemen, of the Source Seeker Hour. And welcome for this great presentation on safety and security for our black young men. We thank everybody for joining us, and we have with us our security expert, our brightest source security expert, Brother J.P. Hicks. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing fine.
All right, and he's going to share with us safety in this day and age, one of the most pressing and important issues. And of course, we have our co-host with us, Pamela Ballard Hicks. We thank everyone for joining us for this special show, Safety and Security. Every day we hear about it. We just heard about a situation in Fort Worth. A person got shot in their own house. How depressing is that? Something has to be done about that. What do you say about that, JP?
I think that's a situation that I think is leaning more toward the officer and being in fear. Unlike in the past, unlike the Amber Zimmerman thing with Trayvon Martin, I think that was more like race motivated. I think this here we had some law enforcement is no place for people who are scared of their own shadow. This officer was wrong in every angle you looked at it. Even his remark when he initially was questioned, he said his guns were holstered and trying to put it back on her. That was the reason why they went searching for a weapon, something to find in the house, which is totally irrelevant. This guy here, he shouldn't be in law enforcement. I think it's going to end up that way.
Yes, you can't be afraid. I've seen so many situations where it seemed like it was just a logical thing that this shouldn't happen. You know, the Trayvon situation, Trayvon Martin, the young boy just coming home, he was probably curious looking in windows and so forth, but it seemed like the guy Zimmerman was looking to cause or do some trouble, and he already had something in his mind. I'm not sure about more so about the Michael Brown situation, which was in Ferguson. That appeared to be more like he had a provoking side to him, that particular young man, and maybe that officer may have had a stand your ground kind of situation. But it's very difficult, and we need to find some ways to understand how to be safe, how to have proper interaction. What do we say about that? What is our first thing that needs to be imparted to our young men for safety?
First thing we need to get our young boys, and might as well say our young girls too, because they're now becoming a risk.
Yes.
So that we're not viewed or treated as being equal. They don't look at us the same as they do someone of their own race. And that's just a troubling fact. You know, I've seen where white children, white adults, are handled differently than black children or black adults. I asked one white officer one time, I asked him, you see me, are you afraid of me? He said, no. I said, you have black male, black female officers, Hispanic male, Hispanic female officers, Asian male, Asian female officers, Middle Eastern males, Middle Eastern female officers, white males, and white female officers. Out of all of those different entities of law enforcement officers, why is there only one aspect that's shooting and killing on black men? He lowered his head, raised up, he said, and he just gave me the truth. He said, some of us were raised that way. That's why I said racism does exist. We're not viewed as being equal. That's the first thing we get our children to understand, is that we're not viewed as equal. Shouldn't hinder. We don't walk around in fear, but we need to be conscious of our surroundings that we are not viewed the same as equal as they are.
One of the things that is out there and has always been out there, and it's been promoted, embedded, is the psychology of the fear of the black man. That's a psychology that permeates society. I mean, go back to that Public Enemy song, Fear of a Black Planet. I mean, it's probably, of course, a part of it is that they know that they subjugated black people and did so many ugly things. And they say, okay, what if the tables are turned? What if they're free to now treat us in the way that we treated them? And the psychology goes back to that. And that's what our young people, and the problem with young people, even talking from my own kids, they do not necessarily carry all that psychological understanding. You know, they want to be treated as fair, as equal, as you know, why don't they just love me and all this kind of stuff? But that's not the way it is. But that is a lot of the thing that they get from the television, they get from social media in a lot of ways, which is a lie. And it takes a lot of time for them to understand the truth. The psychology, that's one of the bigger things. How can we get them to understand a little bit more than psychology? Of course it starts in your own circle, in your own family, but how can we find a way to change that?
That's a difficult task. It's going to be a difficult task because the children coming up now, we ourselves were not part of the generation that saw separatism in the schools, the segregation. And the children nowadays, they made in the month of February read a passage on how it was. And they, most you see is Rosa Parks having been trying to be forced to sit in the back of the bus. They can go in the same stores, they can go in the same restaurants, they can buy the same things. But they don't understand, they don't comprehend that the reason why they allow you in these places is because you're making them money. You're buying, you're purchasing things. But we're still, the bottom line is that we are not treated the same. One day my son was coming up, and we were driving down up South Main. I said, hey, I want you to count the number of blue cars you see. He just counted blue cars, blue cars, blue cars. Then I asked him again, how many green cars did you see? His response was that, you didn't tell him to count green cars. Exactly. If you look for one thing, that's all you're going to see is one thing, but there's a whole other world around you that you need to be cognizant of at all times.
Yes, this is the Source Seeker Hour. We're talking about safety and security for young black men, and this is a very important issue, and everybody who has a young black male, young black female in school needs to pay attention, needs to listen, find out ways that you can keep your son safe. I have a son 20 years old. I worry about him all the time. What if he gets in a situation where he's just curious? What if he gets in a situation where he wants to be treated like he feels that everybody should be treated, and he's in a situation where he may need to hold his tongue and wait till he gets to the courtroom? You talked about that one time, JP, about in an interaction with a police officer, that's not the time to yell and scream. There's a different aspect.
Traffic stop is not a courtroom. It's two different things. I always tell people, don't let them make you a clown on their circuits. No matter what you're writing for, whether you think it's legitimate or not, that's not the time and place for you to state your case. Only in the courtroom. Let them write your ticket. It's not an admission of guilt. It's a promise you're going to appeal for a judge 30 to 45 days later. That's all it is. Then once you get that judge and hear your side of the story, and you see where you can go 50-50, depending on where you are and what all circumstances are. But again, that's not the place to get into a debate, because think about it. It's like you get an argument with them out there. They're going to twist this around, manifest around, and next thing you know, you're now having a charge that's higher than what originally what you were stopped for. For I can say to people on that, know your rights. Every phone has Wi-Fi capabilities. Go online and learn your rights.
One thing I've heard, I've been talking with some of parents of young black boys in school and so forth, and a lot of times they go to these outside districts, let's say Spring, Cy-Fair, and different districts, and they feel that their boys, their young girls are getting a little bit extra scrutiny, a little bit extra discipline than they would normally get. And a lot of times that psychology is deep. People have to understand how deep that psychology is. Even somebody who is not outwardly or not consciously having ideals of bias, but it permeates through, because that's what we've been growing up with. I was raised in a church called the Shrine of the Black Madonna, and the founder had two declarations. One was the acceptance of black inferiority, and the second one was the declaration of black inferiority. And they still remain true today. And the most insidious one is the acceptance of black inferiority. If you accept that you are inferior, if you accept that there's something wrong with you, even without consciously doing it, you are projecting that, and you asking for somebody to treat you in the manner that you feel about yourself. So the number one thing to work on is to feel better about the way that God has created you, and don't have your own declaration of who you are. I always say, I'm a king, I'm just as good as anybody else. Of course, being Baruti called Alexander, I make the last part say Alexander the Great. And I carry that with me and so forth. Doesn't mean I think I do everything well, but I want to make sure that I project that I feel great about myself. This is the Source Seeker Hour on Afro Vibes Radio, #1 internet station in the world. And we're having a very important discussion about safety and security for young men, keeping our young men safe. Pam, you haven't shared very much. Co-host, what's going on over there?
I'm not sure. What's the question?
The question is, what do you feel about safety and security of young men? Why is it that our young men, 18, 19, 20, get in trouble? Is it only because they, it probably does permeate down that you don't have a father in the household, but sometimes the father going through so much, he would just bring so much stress upon him. Is that the only thing, not having a father in the household?
I think it's a lot of things. You know, it's never one thing that why something happens, but definitely having a father, a strong role model, father, an uncle, even a grandfather is very significant for a child as well as a girl, but particularly males. And you know, it's so much, and I'm not a man, but it's so much that a father or a strong male model can do for a man, just like even for girls. So they give them, from my father I got my strength and my personality, my everything that I am. I'm like him in a lot of ways. My husband always says I have my father's personality, but I have my mother's heart. I pride myself on knowing, you know, having his dominance in his personality. So I'm kind of surprised, hurt, and disappointed by the guy, the rate of the black males, the execution by police officers, and it's going to continue. But I think we're turning a corner now. We didn't in the past didn't see prosecution, but now it's being done. So something is definitely changing.
Yes, in a way, I see some things changing, but I still see the difficulty. I mean, maybe it may take another 100 years before there is more of an equity, more of a fairness, more of a feeling of self-esteem that permeates through the black community. And that is where it starts.
I think that's the pie in the sky. I think that, you know, the time is now. You make choices and decisions to do better and better educate our children, help someone, and definitely be that village that we always talking about. You know, that's why I'm a teacher. I'm here to teach, to educate, to help. And
well, you know, these last two shootings, I think it's you're starting to see a turn, because in the past, when the officer shot on a black man, it was basically somebody, they could cover it up or write it off or push it to the side even because the person had a criminal history, wasn't in school. But these last two people, Bottom Jean, and I hope I pronounced the name right, Tiana Jefferson, both of them were college graduates. Good job, promising the future, nothing in their background. So now how are you going to explain that? How are you going to explain them? Explain them. You can't discredit them. So that's why you're starting to see these officers being prosecuted and found guilty. But the bottom side, the foundation of everything is education. We have to get our kids the importance of educating themselves and learning a professional skill to better position themselves in life. And these parents have to stop totally relying on the public schools to educate their children. You're going to have to get involved. Yeah, you may work long hours during the week, but even on weekends, sit down with your kids. Okay, let's go over what you did this week. 2 to 4 hours a week, a weekend. We have to start getting not just relying on teachers to educate our children. Because the bottom line is that you can't expect a child to be performing on for example, a 5th grade level if the previous grades he or she was not taught anything.
So it does come back to the family structure also.
It comes back to education.
This is the Source Seeker Hour on Afro Vibes Radio. We have a very important discussion on safety and security for our black young men. We're going to take a break right now and be right back in a second. Thank you.
Your favorite radio station.
This is Afro Vibes Radio Houston.
This is the Source Seeker Hour. Welcome back, everybody. We're having a very powerful discussion. Safety, security for black young men. Very important. What goes through our young men's mind when they go out into the world? They're going out into the world to venture into the journey of life. How can we help them with that? How can we help them have the best possible growth? Our security expert from Bright Source Group said, education. It starts right there. But what about the church, the mentors? What about the family that they come from? Does that very important? We know it's important, but can they survive without all of those other factors in place? And that's our discussion. How can they survive? They don't have the best family. They may not get a chance to go to the best school. But there have been countless examples of people that have grew past that. How can we help them? It starts within them. If they have existence, they can find a way. You wanted to share something, Brother?
One thing I want to clarify is that I'm not an expert. I'm basically based on my life experience and my professional experience. Like I said, our children are not treated and viewed as equal, and we have to find a way to communicate that to them in a manner which they can comprehend and still proceed forward in life, in spite of the relevance as they're going to experience when they're growing up.
Isn't that a paradox and a dichotomy for them to focus on? They're not treated as equal. They are equal, but they're not treated as equal. You understand what I'm saying?
I understand what you're saying. And it's not for them to focus on. What they need to focus on, what the parents need to focus on, what the community need to focus on, is getting the basic fundamental foundation of education. I grew up without a father. My father died when I was 7 years old. My mother died when I was 17 years old. And everything you see occurring now occurred back then. I had a choice to make. I watched people older than me do those acts, do those things, and I saw how they ended up. I saw my brothers follow those paths and how they ended up. I didn't want that for me. Only power that God gives us is free will choice. And I always tell the kids, that's one fundamental thing you question, do you know how to tell the difference between you doing something right and doing something wrong? And that is, you ask yourself one simple question. What I'm about to do, would like to have someone else do that to me? If the answer is no, then they automatically say that's the wrong thing to do. That's the basic start of educating someone and move down the right path. Another thing is that we have to look at, should we expect community entities such as churches, business, schools, city government, and law enforcement to solely implement actions and protect and serve our young men and now women? I think too many parents take that for granted and they expect them to do it, and that's not what's going on. Again, with teaching, if a child's not been taught in pre-K, kindergarten, first, second, and third, you can't expect a child to come into the fourth grade classroom and perform on the fourth grade level if the lower three levels of education were not being instilled in that child. And again, we gotta get people in teaching who want to be in teaching, who heart is in teaching, and who can walk through the front door of a school without any biases towards students.
I mean, bias is embedded in life. I mean, stereotypes, you know, whether we like them or not, that people are going to have those. They're going to have biases. One thing I want to ask you, and I want to have my own conversation about this also. You said that some of the support systems were early on taken away.
Yes.
But yet and still, you had the discipline or the foresight or the understanding that trying to force your way to get what you wanted was not the way. While other kids, you know, for instance, a kid may go in the store, he don't have the money, and he says it's okay to take. Why does he say that, whereas you might not have said that when you were growing up?
I started up at a young age, started developing a work ethic. Started off really cutting
Where did
yards.
that come from?
We had a lawnmower. I was the things I wanted. I knew if I went in the store, got caught stealing, my mother would tap me like my butt up like a Christmas tree.
So
Feel consequences. We gotta be to develop a work ethic. $5 for the front yard, $2 for the back. And I saw, and then when I made that money, even though we were struggling and hard and everything, my mom let me. First thing she said, "Go get what you want to get," and then I would buy what cookies or crack candy, or other thing I wanted to buy, and what's left over I would help her out. But the fact is that I knew I had to go out. If I wanted some other something, if you want something, go out there and work for it. That way it's yours, and no one else can take it from you. So I started developing. She started moving me toward developing a work ethic at a young age, 12, 13 years old. And as I got older, I just kept, okay, if I want something, I got to go out there and work for it. Even now, if I want something now, I got to go out there and work for it. Once I get, okay, I want something else, go out there and work for it.
Mm-hmm. So you did have that support system embedded in you.
Mm-hmm.
There are, and even though it went away when you said 17.
Yeah.
But it was still there. It had been embedded in you. So we have to find, or our kids have to find a way to have that work ethic. See, instant gratification is a big problem as far as their mindset. They don't want to go through what you were talking about is a process. I don't have everything I want now, but I'm working and I got a little bit more. I'm working, I got a little bit more. I'm working, I get a little bit more. I get a few more things I would like. But kids today, if they don't have an understanding of the process, they want instant gratification. Instant gratification is such a problem because you have instant gratification and you can't wait to get those things that you want.
It's hard for the children to, again, get them to comprehend that because they turn on television, they see people with things that shiny and glitter and gold. And they think, well, he got it now. They don't show how people actually worked up to getting that point. They think, well, if I go out here, if I can get it right now. If I go out there and sell this and rob and do that, and so that's a misconception that's really being orchestrated and promoted by television. You know, we don't see shows where the father or the mother are regular workers, blue collar workers out there, and they're putting things together, say building stones, step by step. You see TV's now, somebody coming out and the flash car get out, and it's always at the end of the sentence is a connection to drugs in the script. So it's so much working against us that we really have to go back, and get to the basics of things. which in the basis start from we have to educate ourselves. We can't rely on anybody else to educate ourselves. We can't wait till the month of February and say, okay, we're going to teach our children about our history. We have too much history that doesn't fit in 28 days. We got so much history that it doesn't fit in 365 days.
That's very true. That's
So
very true.
we can't. And they're not going to tell. They're going to tell us what they want to hear, but how they want us to hear it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it's never going to. But if you research on your own, it's never going to be the truth.
I always say that it starts with the circle. Now, everybody doesn't have a strong circle, and maybe not the understand. When I was, let's say, 18 or in high school, most people, if they really saw all the things that I did, would have said, there's no way he's going to survive. Because I was very naive. I was very non-understanding of things. But I did have two parents. And I had a dad that didn't give up on me no matter how much I messed up. And if he had given up at me any time, I wouldn't probably be here today. We talk about when I was 40 years old also, you know. I am giving my age a little bit. But it does go back to the circle of your family. And we used to have those things called extended families. We had the grandpas and the grandmas and so forth. But families, I think it's because of society has started to wither out and branch out so much that they are not as connected and so forth. And I think that's where I would suggest people start within your own circle. Give your son a hug. Give your daughter a hug. Let them voice their concerns. Let them rant and rave, but keep it within strong morals and strong respect. But I don't think we have enough love in our communities, and a lot of our problems come from that. And that is a very hard thing to, of course, find. But we must keep on seeking and keep on knocking on the door for it, as the Bible says, and do a better job, do the best job we can at that. This is the Saucy Hour on Afro Vibes Radio, the #1 internet station in the world. We appreciate everybody joining us for this very important discussion. We have some male role models in our community. I mean, if you look at every facet of life, you have LeBron James. I think he's a pretty good role model. He's a family man, so forth, so on. He's not out there doing crazy things. Then you got somebody like Antonio Brown. I'm not going to say too much, but he had a great, he was getting a great salary, football player, but he got accused of 2 domestic assaults with girlfriends. I don't know if those were true or not, but he's had difficulty maintaining his job. And then there's so many other countless situations of young men and how that they are behaving. And I'm not saying I'm perfect. I'm learning, and it's hard trying to make sure you do the right thing as a young black man. It is very hard because you are trying to grow and trying to be better, but you also have urges.
Well, I think it's more along the lines of there are a lot of positive black men out here, but television, entertainment only tend to show the ones who are athletes making these multi-level salaries. There are a lot of black men in every profession, doctors, from lawyers, teachers. I mean, there's a lot of positive black men out here, but they're not depicted in everyday visions.
We have to find a way to depict them. We have to find a way to promote them. I just heard, I think I might be Johnny Come Lately, Tyler Perry Studios. He has a chance to project a lot of black men. Now, I don't necessarily agree with all of the depictions in his movies, but at the same time, I saw many of his movies that have truth. They have truthful situations. Now, not necessarily everything that, I want to see, but we got to show the truth in all of its facets and all of its context. And there are so many different facets to black men. We got to get our kids away from just concentrating on athletics, entertainment. But those are the things that they think they're going to get the girls with while they're in high school, while they're in college. And that those are the instant gratification things that they want early on. So a lot of it too is having a proper understanding of how to interact with with the ladies and with the people that you want to impress. Last week we talked about how the girls can come in the room and have a proper projection, and all the boys would be quiet. Well, the boy can do the same thing. He can come in the room and his light can shine because he has such a glow. He has such a power, and everybody knows that, hey, he's somebody. He's going to be doing something. He's going to accomplish something. So it's all about how we carry ourselves, and we got to look at all of those different facets and different things and do the best we can with them. This is the Saucy Hour on Afro Vibes Radio. We thank everybody for joining us. Next week, we're going to have a very good show. Prostitution and marijuana, should that be legal? The week after, self-care and self-actualization, headed by Dr. Akua Gray. Those are just two of the shows coming up. This show right here is a very important show. We're talking about safety and security for black young men. And we could talk about that all day because everywhere is going on. Many people thought that just because Obama was president, that would change things. But even though he was up there, that was on the peripheral. Because it didn't affect people's day-to-day lives. But it was a great psychology, but it was not everyday life. A father or uncle probably could do more to help that individual black boy than just President Obama being president. Pam, what you say about that?
I think that's an excellent example. But other than that, I don't really have too much to say.
I think Obama becoming president was like Bill Cosby had the Cosby Show. They showed a level that we can achieve. It showed a different image, okay, that we can achieve. We sound good now. We can achieve president. We can have a professional husband, a father, a professional mother. We can achieve those levels. I think at that time, HBCU enrollments rose up 10 times. It was. So it's all about what we perceive we can do, what we're shown that we can do, for people who come from our background. I think the number one, a good direct pipeline to the black African American community is churches. If these ministers would start teaching about educating his children, restructuring the phone home, building a foundation, because they have the numbers coming there every Sunday morning. But
well, I have to
the
say
word.
that if is important, and a lot of them, they don't have a good reputation across the board. Now, there are some churches that do good things, but there are some that don't. And I go back to what you said earlier. We can't just depend upon the church.
Right.
It does have to start with the circle. We're right here. We are the Brighter Source group that are bringing this show to you, and we're trying to do something to bring about a better community, and we're starting right in our own circle. And we want to help black young men. We want to help black young women to be better and so forth. And every week we're bringing a show to you, the Saucy Hour. We are working in the community, and we're doing different things. We want to get stronger and stronger and have more impact and do the best we can. This is the Saucy Hour on Afro Vibes Radio, the #1 internet station in the world. What we have here is a opportunity. We have an opportunity to touch base with many people, and through this process, we can touch base with black young men, black young women. Out here now, we have maybe one black young man who's listening, saying, what are y'all talking about? What y'all trying to do? But he's listening. He's seeking, and we can give him a positive vibe. We want to say, keep listening, keep working, follow your education, follow your best respect and best morals, and keep pushing on, keep pushing forward. This is the Soul Seeker Hour on Afro Vibes Radio, the #1 internet station in the world. We have many people who listen to us from time to time, and they call us. If you want to contact us, you can contact us on Brighter Light on Facebook, thesourceseeker.net. There are many different ways. You can contact me directly, Baruti Carl Alexander, Facebook, Twitter, all of them, and many different aspects. And we are going to do some things to help our communities and do the best we can. This is the Soul Seeker Hour on Afro Vibes Radio. We are having a very good show, and we appreciate everybody for joining us. And we have anything else to say about safety and security?
I think that pretty much touches the base or starts the ball rolling in that direction. So,
well, we thank everybody for joining us. I want to talk about our shows, more shows coming up in December. We're going to have some very important shows down the line. December 3rd will be Fighting Depression, Finding Brighter Light. That's going to be our first Brighter Light show. December 3rd, December 10th, and December 17th. God and Religion. Whoa, that's going to be a deep subject on that. And that's going to be a two-part show because there's very many different aspects about God and religion that we wish to discuss. Is the Bible the only word of God? Are there different other aspects? There are many different things that we can say on that. So we're going to take another break here and come back in a second on the Brighter Light, on the Soul Seeker Hour. Thank you very much.
We're not done.
I don't know. I think he wanted me. I didn't catch it. You want me to finish?
It wasn't supposed to be break. It's already 40 minutes. I have to compare.
Okay, well, let me just give me a second.
Yeah.
Okay. You see, I'm running out of things to say.
Yeah, I know. You keep
I know.
rattling on. It ain't cool.
All right, this is the Soul Seeker Hour, and we're gonna. We thank you all for joining us. Join us next time for a great show. Have a good day, everybody. We thank you for joining us. Bye.